Hey folks, this is Strickland's Bridge on Old Bailey Road, about 10 miles outside of Spring Hope. It has a Spring Hope zip code, but obviously this isn't Spring Hope. I wanted to do this video to show y'all exactly how rural this area is and how far out from nowhere it is. Right over here in this area in 1980, a fisherman found a body in the water, pulled it out, called the authorities. They tried everything they could to identify the body. Hasn't happened yet. If you just look at the area, you can tell that whatever the gentleman was doing here, I don't know if he was fishing or whether he was just looking for a place to drink or whatever he was doing. It turned out bad for him. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what he was drinking and why you shouldn't get in the water after you've had that much alcohol.
And welcome to Unidentified with Linda Kay.
And Sandra Smith.
Yes.
All right, so you saw in that video we're talking about a very rural area of Nash County. On Facebook page last week, I asked folks, I had showed a picture of me down under the bridge and asked people if they knew where it was. I had 77 people guess. Right?
Wow.
And only 8 people got it right. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's a very, very rural area. I mean, people who drive through there on Old Bailey Highway, you drive past that bridge, you know,
right.
Most people probably don't even know it has a name, right? So here's a map of exactly where we're talking about. I told you every week when we do this, we're going to show a map for folks to see. So that's the Tar River. The blue line's the Tar River.
Right.
And you see where Strickland's Bridge is, and you see 95. Now the body was found a little bit past Strickland's Bridge going toward 95. So the fisherman's out there in 1980, he's fishing, he finds a body in the water, he calls the cops, right? Now the location, I really hated to like tell this story because it is such a nice location, right? I mean, it's a lot of folks. All 8 people that knew where it was said that they've been fishing there since they were kids and whatnot.
Wow.
So I mean, it's an area. My son who shot that video, he took there's a photo of it. I mean, it's just a beautiful place, right?
That is.
So so the man that was found pulled up out of the water in 1980. He was a 50 to 70-year-old black man. He stood 6 feet 1 inches tall. He weighed 190 pounds. He had short, curly black hair with some graying on it. He had a beard and a mustache. They don't know his eye color. His body could have floated downstream from several miles away, right? So the Tar River starts up in Pearson County and runs all the way, down the coast. So, So it passes right through downtown Lewisburg before it gets to where this man was at. So we don't know if the man didn't fall in the water in Lewisburg. I mean, the medical examiners, they don't know where the man went in the water at.
Right.
That's just where he was taken out at.
You can be pushed downstream.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So here's a front page of the Enterprise this week. Like I told you, this appears not only Enterprise, but it's in all the newspapers owned by Restoration News Media, so there's a lot of them. There's different elements in these stories than what we're talking about here. This is a multimedia project. Right. So in the newspaper I talked to the medical examiner who's retired. He still lives in Rocky Mount, Dr. Ziff. I talked to him and got his opinion about some stuff. You can find that in the newspaper. All right, so the drowned man had a blood ethanol level of 80 milligrams per deciliter. What that basically means What that means is that he was legally drunk, basically, right? So there's a chart we're going to be looking at a lot because a lot of these unidentified bodies have alcohol. So if you look at that chart, he's 190 pounds, right? So to be legally drunk in North Carolina is 0.8. Right? So if you go down, you got 180, you got 200, so go down in the middle somewhere around there, you'll see that it took 4 drinks to get this man that much alcohol.
Right.
Right? Okay. So, but I mean, what is a drink? That was my first question, was like, what, because there's
what is a drink?
Right. So if you look at this, a drink is a 12-ounce beer, 1.5 ounce mixed drink, or a 5 ounce glass of wine, or what's not on there is a shot, a very small shot of straight whiskey, right? So this guy either had several beers,
Right.
a lot of wine, or just some straight whiskey, right? So some shots. So he was legally drunk, right?
Okay.
Okay. But in his toxicology report is also traces of isopropanol. I know I mispronounced that, folks. I practiced it all week. And acetone, right? So
Is that what this is?
What in the world? We're getting to those. So isopropanol, okay, can turn into acetone in the bloodstream, but not at the levels this guy had it in, right? So in other words, he had isopropanol and acetone in his bloodstream, which means pretty much that he, not only did he consume 4 drinks of alcohol, whether it be all those beers or all that whiskey or all that wine, he also drank a whole bottle of rubbing alcohol.
Sure.
So kids don't drink rubbing alcohol.
No.
It can it'll get you drunk, but the problem with that is that it destroys your body along the way. You know, people drink whiskey for years and then they die of liver problems or whatever. But with rubbing alcohol, you go straight. You don't pass go, right? You go straight to body damage. I talked to the medical examiners, and they said that not only did he drink a lot of whiskey or wine, you know, we don't know exactly what it was, but it was either a lot of whiskey, a lot of wine, a whole lot of beer. But he also drank the rubbing alcohol, and he also drank a whole bottle of fingernail polish remover. So I heard somebody in the back go, "Woof, that's right." So this guy really wanted to get drunk, so
He did.
Desperately so. So not only did he drink enough alcohol to be legally drunk, he would have blew past a .08 on the breathalyzer if he'd have been driving, pulled over for driving. Then he drank all of this. He drank enough of this to pretty much damage his organs, right?
Yeah.
And then he drank enough of this to show up in his system. So that's a lot of alcohol.
That is a lot of alcohol.
Okay, so I'm not going to say who it is, but I had a family member that spent the night with me when I had first got married. We're talking in the 90s, right? This family member has a drinking problem. I was trying to help him. We went to bed that night. When I woke up in the morning, he had drank 2 bottles of NyQuil, and he had drunk a bottle of rubbing alcohol.
Oh.
Well, actually, the rubbing alcohol bottle was missing. So either he drank it or poured it down the drain or whatever. But we never did find the rubbing alcohol bottle is still missing to this day.
Pretty much assume what happened.
Yes. That's the old circumstantial evidence thing. If you go to bed at night and there's no snow on the ground, you wake up in the morning, there's snow on the ground, you can say that it snowed. So if you go to bed at night and you have rubbing alcohol, and your family member is a drunk, and you wake up in the morning and you don't have rubbing alcohol, you know what happened to it. So, I mean, the lesson out of all this, I think, is don't drink rubbing alcohol. I got a whole thing in the newspaper article that goes into, I talked to the Betty Ford Clinic and all those folks, and it just destroys the body. I mean, you can die die immediately just from drinking rubbing alcohol. Drunks have this thing called the iron gut, the rock gut or whatever, where they seem to be able to drink anything. But rubbing alcohol is going to kill you, right? You're not going to be drinking that very long before you're dead. And fingernail polish, that's just even worse. I mean, fingernail polish remover is probably about the worst, one of the worst things you can drink.
Horrible.
Yeah, so
they found him in the water.
They found him in the water. We don't know who he is.
But see, the point is, this man had children or grandchildren or somebody, cousins.
And my contention is that this story was publicized in the local paper once in 1980. Has never been told before since then. One time in print in 1980. So you can't go on to Google and find this guy. That is, so if a family member's looking, and even if they have the information, you know, even if they know, oh, I gotta go one more back. Even if they know that he's 180 pounds, 190 pounds, and they know how tall he is, and they know all these things, you can't put that into Google and come up with this case. Now, this case is in databases. You know, the name system's really great, but it's not, you're not going to Google it and come up with it. You know, so that's what I'm trying to do here, is to build a catalog of these stories so that family members
that might have been mentioned one time in a newspaper.
And we're going to talk about it eventually. We're going to talk about it soon.
But I just don't understand family members they know, I mean, not the authorities, they never went to the authorities.
Right. Well, they could have in 1980. See, and that's the thing. Nobody was really communicating back then, right? So the problem is, is there a call?
Yeah.
Go ahead, take that.
Okay. Good morning. Hello?
Yes, what time do Miss Evangeline come on?
Okay, we're doing, she comes on at 1 o'clock. We're doing a live TV show. Thank you.
Well, we solved that mystery. We know when Miss Evangeline is coming on, 1 o'clock. All right, so the thing is that when this article came out this week, right, like I said in the newspaper, there's no DNA profile for this guy because in 1980 they didn't know to keep any blood samples or anything. So there's no DNA for this person, right? So there's no way to compare him to anybody, right?
Right.
So I got a call.
How old was he?
Well, we don't know. He was 50 to 70 years old.
About 50 to 70. Okay.
So I got a call when the newspaper article came out. They saw in the Butner Creedmoor News, which is one of the papers that Restoration News Media owns. I got a call from Leslie Kaufman, who's a forensic geologist with the North Carolina Cold Case Initiative. And what they do is they take DNA from unidentified bodies and they start comparing it to genealogy profiles online. You know, like where people do Ancestry and 1, 2, and 3 and me or whatever. So people are putting their information out there. These people like Leslie can take that information and start matching up, and they can find like a third cousin, a fourth cousin, and then they start whittling it down.
Right.
So they solved a case from 2005 in Harnett County earlier this year by doing that. Yeah, by just comparing DNA patterns, right? So they finally got to the right person. So we were talking, and we're going to start collaborating a little bit with them, providing information for them and back and forth. But she said that, you know, like a story like this is really important for publicity's sake because this man has no DNA. So there's never going to be a time where, no matter how far advanced we get in DNA, there's never going to be a time where someone's going to say, oh, well, this was so-and-so from Virginia.
Right.
Because without publicity, there's no way to find out who this guy is. So that's what we're doing here. Give him the phone number one more time.
Okay.
If you know anything about this guy, give a call.
Absolutely. 406-6736, or any case that we've talked about in the past or today. Any case, 406-6736, completely anonymous number that you can call.
Thank you, folks.
Up to $15,000 reward.
That's right.
For you. So, well, make it a great day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.